Yeah, round 5.
Wow, okay.
Yes. Okay, so this little section, no big introductions because you know what these are all about now. No terrible introductions anyway, except to welcome Kaire and Kristen for the next round. Maybe fight it out, fight it. So, the singing revolution.
I'm going to talk about
causing trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It says it all really.
Well, yeah. I wanted to have a rant as well. Instead, I decided that I'm going to talk about my new research project that I've started upon, and it's going to be about social, ideological, and musical meanings of the actual musical sound of singing revolution. So, singing revolution is the poetic name for the Estonians' non-violent national freedom movement, also called the protest movement against Soviet rule during the late 1980s. This movement started with Gorbachev's introducing the policies of perestroika and glasnost in the Soviet Union, so it's economic restructuring and openness and public discussion of policy. And the movement ended with the collapse of the Soviet Union and Estonia's restoration of independence in 1991. It was Estonia's second national awakening. The first one took place in the 19th century. Acknowledged Estonian sociologists studying the Estonian late 1980s post-communist transition have called that chapter in the Estonian political culture the mythological stage. This is distinguished from and followed by the ideological and critical rational stage. But what the sociologists mean by the mythological in there is that it was a time when common values were not yet verbally defined, for example, by keywords characterizing political ideologies like solidarity, laissez-faire, social market economy or open society and strong middle class. Instead, it was a time when common values were defined by suggestive mythological symbols and rituals. So, large mass demonstrations united the participants with an emotionally high voltage. Symbols, myths, and rituals had a heyday, and the function of words during mass rallies was magical. Music, these sociologists somehow managed not to mention there. Yet the label singing revolution was inspired by a striking feature of the public gatherings at the time, namely the community singing, which also, as has been mentioned, must have had a disciplinary effect at those large rallies. One could say that community singing and secular community singing is a characteristic of Estonians. We are often referred to as the singing nation. I grew up in a family where singing together was part of every celebration we had at home, and we still do that, we still sing. Plus, of course, the Estonians have a soon 150 years old tradition of song celebrations. And song celebration is often considered one of the core texts of Estonian culture and our folk church. The song celebrations take place in every 5 years at the Tallinn Song Festival grounds, during which more than 20,000 singers and instrumentalists perform under the massive arch to an audience of roughly 100,000 people. Our population is 1.2 million, by the way, so it's like 10% of the people gathering, of our population gathering at Tallinn Song Festival grounds. However, even if song celebration / choir singing is one of the core texts of the Estonian culture and our folk church, even if the largest rallies did take place at the traditional place of song festivals, and as the sociologists say, these events did take place in the traditional form of song festivals, known since the first period of Estonian national awakening in the 19th century. Even if there is nothing basically wrong in the sociologists saying that the traditional form of gathering and the collective rituals of choir singing helped to lift the national spirit and to mobilize people who were alienated from politics during the Soviet era. Even if all that, the actual musical sounds of singing revolution were not core, but those of pop rock, folk or country rock, and punk. So one should not over-mythologize. At mass meetings, thousands of people sang new songs specially written by popular composers for these events, together with the pre-war patriotic songs and the historical patriotic repertoire of the 19th century song festivals. People also sang folk songs, mostly about courtship, love, marriage, even children's songs. However, even those pre-war and 19th century patriotic songs, folk songs and children's songs sounded rock. Not only for rock historical ideological reasons, but also for very practical reasons. Namely, rock musicians regularly performed at political events. And sometimes, when people demanded, they even gathered up on stage spontaneously, as long as there was power supply, so without any previous soundcheck. And very often, tens of thousands strong audiences sung along with them to their sounds, which were not choral, unless the definition of choir singing includes a rock or country band with sound amplification. The fact that the emotionally high voltage rallies took place at song festival grounds should not be overinterpreted. Clearly, these places, especially Tallinn Song Festival grounds, had large enough space for such purposes. The number of participants in the largest rallies on the Tallinn Song Festival grounds in September 1988 reached 300,000. That was almost 1/3 of Estonian population, who, by the way, had spontaneously gathered there to express their national sentiment and collective political will through speeches, slogans, and the singing of songs which captured national, social, and political identities of the time. So how come that it was rock musicians who became the critical conduits of the Estonian singing revolution? Can't go into details right now, but it has to do with yet another traditional form of gathering, and that was a rock festival. A rock festival tradition that was held from 1979 to 1991 in my hometown, Tartu, and that was called Tartu Music Days, or Tartu Rock Music Days. It was an annual venue for cutting-edge rock music on the westernmost margins of permitted Soviet culture, and that rock festival had an institutional foothold in Tartu University, seriously, so rock festival with an institutional foothold in a university. Rock musicians became the critical conduit of the singing revolution at the finale of the 1987 Tartu Music Days, which turned into a political demonstration for the environmental campaign known as the phosphate or phosphorite war, which was against the Moscow-ordered opening of large phosphorite mines in the Virumaa district of northeastern Estonia. And that concert turned into a political demonstration during, and I would say due to, the live premiere of a rock song written purposefully by a young musician, Alo Mattiisen, to carry the message of that environmental campaign. The title of that rock song was Eerola üksi ükski maa, no country is alone, or not a single land alone. And it was live premiered at Tartu Town Hall Square. This is crazy, Estonians don't do anything like this. Well, they did during the singing revolution. It was a song conceptually similar to, for example, USA for Africa's We Are the World, which dated from just 2 years before, from 1985. Different verses were sung by different singers, who in this Estonian song, Eerola üksi ükski maa, represented different styles in pop music. And there's a lineup of 13 most beloved rock popular musicians there singing this song. And when they sang the lyrics of the refrain, which roughly translates, "Nature knows, fatherland knows, we must all help each other now. Not a single land is alone. I won't, I can't abandon you, Viru land." Then the Viru land, or Virumaa, of course, became synonymous with the entire land of Estonia. And voila, then and there, the Estonians suddenly had a voice and were on the go with their singing revolution. And I'm going to play that song. So you get the sound of it.
näeb õhtupäikse õõtsimis. Ta kõrval tunneb Hiiumaa üht õiget sugu, õitsilist.
of these songs. So the new songs, specially written by popular artists for the purposes of the singing revolution, they were mostly pop rock, hand-in-hand sing-alongs. And rock also, obviously due to the fact that rock musicians could compose, perform, record and broadcast new songs more quickly and more loudly than choral composers and choirs. These new songs stressed the importance of people's feeling of togetherness and adherence to traditions, but also drew public attention to topical issues like environmental threats, indifference of the authorities, and concerns of increasing migration. I'd say there are about a dozen signature songs of the era. From a tongue-in-cheek punk rock hit, Tere Perestroika, or Hello Perestroika, to a couple of bluegrass country rock ballads that I have not listed there. But the iconic ones definitely are composer Alo Matthisen's Eerola Yksima, which we just heard. Then Matthisen's song cycle, Viis isamaalist laulu, 5 fatherland songs, performed by a very popular artist, Ivo Linna, a vocal sextet, Kiigelaulu Kuvik, and a rock band, In Sped. And these 5 songs became the voice of popular sentiment after their premiere at the Blue, Black, White flag bedecked 1988 Tartu Music Days. Most notably so did the rock anthem, Eestlane olen ja eestlaseks jään, that I played you before my presentation started. But in 4 of these 5 fatherland songs, Matthiesen built a musical bridge between the heritage of the Estonians' 19th century national awakening and contemporary politics. By quoting the well-known 19th century patriotic songs, but giving them new sounds and new reference. A good example is the song Mingem üles mägedele, go high up atop the hills, stop Lasnamäe. In the original 19th century song, one went high up atop the hills to exclaim, you are beautiful, O homeland. In Matthisen's song, one goes high up atop the hills to witness an ulcer on the natural landscape. The ugly, mass-produced apartment high-rises in Tallinn's suburbs, named after hills, as indicated by the suffix mägi or mäe. Lasnamäe was one of those city districts, and in Soviet times, immigrants, not Estonians, had preferred access to apartments in these new buildings, and thus the districts around them turned into islands of Soviet culture. The immigrants were Soviet immigrants, of course. The song's declaration that Lasna Hill must stop now called for a stop to the Soviet government's plans to increase immigration. And let's hear a sample of that song as well. For the sound. Was not only an Estonian thing. Similar processes of people coming together in singing also took place in Latvia and Lithuania in their respective national movements during the same time period. And rock musicians became national standard bearers there too. Moreover, it can be said that rock singers also stretched Estonian, Latvian and Lithuanian national identity to include a shared Baltic unity. For example, in August 1989, we all held hands at the Baltic Way, or Baltic Chain, which was an uninterrupted human chain of nearly 2 million people holding hands and uniting the 3 Baltic countries from Tallinn to Vilnius. And we were singing, among other songs, the purposefully composed Estonian, Latvian, Lithuanian trilingual pop anthem Ärgake Baltimaad, or Wake Up Baltic Countries. not going to play that song, but it's listed in there. So we can have the YouTube disco later. But the iconic songs of the singing revolution also include singer-songwriter Dennis Mägi's songs Palve, Prayer, and his anthemic Koit, Dawn. The latter starting with the lyrics, "It's time again to straighten the back and cast off the robes of a slave so that everything can be born once again, it's dawn." Yeah. That one. Good images here as well. And listen to the instrumentation and listen to the choir part. Considering the context of the actual musical sounds of the singing revolution, Koit appears to be somewhat an anomaly. First, differently from other signature songs of the singing revolution that I listed up there, Koit features no rock band, but a synthesized imitation of a classical symphony orchestra. There's no drum kit, but a single snare drum, plus timpani, cymbals, and tubular bells later on. Moreover, due to the snare drum's sharply marked rat-tat-tat rhythmic pattern, it's clearly bolero drums there in Koit. Which is interesting since bolero is a genre of Spanish or Hispanic or Latin American, especially Cuban, popular music. So what does it do there in the middle of Estonian singing revolution? And I'll return to that thing briefly later. Then the choral part in Koit is not a sing-along part. It is not sing-alongable as such, nor is it easily singable at all. So people who are singing along Koit, they are singing the soloist's part. Secondly, the general diatactic scheme of this song is different from other signature songs of that era. Koit's diataxis consists of an intro or verse and then 6 refrains coming forth in a huge crescendo. So the basic scheme is like this. It is a song of 3 chords that lacks any harmonic or formal development or change, not even the seemingly obligatory truck driver's gear change there in every other song. Nothing except the gradual build-up in sound and volume. And thirdly, I've already carried out bits of museomatic analysis on Koit, including one on the Distant Bolero Drums Museum. Unfortunately, I have no time today to go into any detail, but just for the fun of it, I'm going to put up here, it's an overview of the paramusical field of connotation of distant bolero drums in Koit, in comparison with Abbas Fernando, just for the fun of it. And that answers the question, what is this musical structure doing in the middle of the Estonian singing revolution? I'm sorry, there's no time to play ICMs, but that might be another presentation of mine someday. Anyhow, thirdly, the analysis that I have done so far allows me to say that Koit exhibits a play of museums that extend this song's musical meanings well across the borders of a particular historical time and across a particular national ethnic geographical place. And this is to say that when 4 of Mathisen's 5 fatherland songs musically referred back to Estonia's first national awakening, not least to assert that this is a nation with a rich heritage of language, culture and history, and one that is tied to an ancestral homeland, Maggie went one step further with Koit. In the political climate of 1988, Tõnismägi's Koit musically lifted Estonia and Estonianness, our national matters, to a qualitatively different level. It returned us to the Western world, to quote the title of my esteemed sociologist book from my first slide. Now, generally, the importance of popular, especially rock music, in the singing revolution is acknowledged among scholars of this topic.
Karen, we've lost the slide.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I meant to do that. Now I'm going to just talk. So, the role of pop music is acknowledged, despite everybody's prioritizing of choral music over pop rock. However, the systematic study of that music as music has been absent from serious studies of the phenomenon. There are altogether very few musicological researches conducted into popular music of the singing revolution, and these are invariably ethnomusicological or socio-musicological researches focusing on music's socio-cultural dimensions and context. In those studies, the importance of people singing together is brought forth. Also, the lyrics of the songs are generally addressed, and occasionally even their delivery in terms of how the melodic tone and register of a singing voice, as well as rhythm, rhyme, and other phonetic features of language were also laden with meaning and rhetorical function. However, the actual musical texts are either not addressed at all or addressed poorly as music. And by poorly, I mean the analysis that remain in the Adornian comfort zone of equating a strong, regular beat and easily singable tune and repeating choruses with the manipulation of the masses, and then have it done with the music and the manipulation for that matter. So, due to this lack of proper music analysis, it has been very difficult for those ethno or socio-musicological singing revolution studies to properly consider the relations between sonic structures and their cultural meanings, uses and functions. Most importantly, how those pop rock songs not only articulated the public's ideas and feelings, but how they also created ideas and feelings and generated political action and shaped ideology. Take, for example, the aspect of non-violence of this freedom movement. I find that there's lots to say about non-violence in terms of music. But in short, yes, the actual musical mechanisms in this socio-cultural non-violent freedom movement are virtually unknown. Well, I find the understanding of causal relationships between music as sound and revolutionary socio-political change a matter of considerable musical, semiotic and ideological importance, both nationally and internationally. So this is exactly what I want to do with my next research project. Firstly, to assess the role of music as sound in the singing revolution, that is, to investigate the ideas, attitudes, identities and ideologies mediated and created through musical structures in the context of the Soviet Estonian transitional society. And secondly, to develop appropriate analytical tools for exploring how sonic materiality can become the focus of socio-political change, and also to develop tools for disseminating the findings of my research so that the scholars in social sciences and cultural sciences would correct their myths about our national identity. So, wish me luck. Thank you.
Now, in terms of our time, that is right on, but I think we should have perhaps a couple of questions or comments before we just move on, because we were a little bit 4 minutes late. We started. Have you got anything? Observations and thoughts?
I have something. Kaire, do you have in mind anything particular? Is there any parameter of musical expression that you think is particularly overlooked? Or is it in general? Is it the whole tonal? Or is it? You say they mentioned timbre, vocal timbre at least.
Yeah.
Are there other aspects? What could you mention that it might be significant?
So the one thing is this prioritizing choral music, choir singing over pop rock music, totally excluding that. There was the music that most united people there. Then and there was pop rock music, and the other thing is that the rock songs changed during the singing revolution. It was a period of 2, 3, 4 years, and during that period, those rock songs changed from protest songs to freedom songs, so to speak. And I find it very, very much relevant in terms of the keeping this movement non-violent. So, no.
Nothing particular.
Nothing
yet.
particular, yeah, but there are many aspects that are just have been excluded so far.
Do you have any theory about what could be the change in musically expressed change from protest to non-violence?
Not yet, but I get there.
Good luck.
Yeah, thanks.
That would be a very interesting question, though, from protest to kind of victory, celebration, freedom song. Because it's more than just the lyrics changing, I imagine.
Yes, the sounds of the songs change.
But there's somebody behind you, Bob.
Sorry.
Me. Thank you. Very nice your historical and musical overview of this event. Yes, I think I experienced the same event in my youth. So, but I think the current understanding of the event, let's say Western world and world outside us have about this event, it's highly mythologized. I think, especially you probably know that.
All the mythological stage.
Yes, you probably know the American made film, which
Yes.
let's say constructs very, let's say, funny
Yeah.
picture of us. But maybe you can just summarize what are you looking for? What are you planning to deconstruct the previous views, or what are you looking for with your research? I understand that it's in the very beginning, but do you have some bold question or?
No, not yet. I really want to do tax Fernando on Tunismaki's quake.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I want to go into there and see what comes up.
So,
Yeah,
but
so
you're not going to focus only on musical issues, but also.
No, I'm gonna go into music, very much into music, and then see what it would tell me about this particular place and time in history.
It was kind of a big point of Estonian nationalism and those issues.
Yeah, well, the sociologists have kind of, and cultural studies people as well, have created kind of, it's a mistaken national identity. I mean, I'm hoping to correct at least aspects in our national identity. And the mythologizing is not, well, it puts music and talking about music really into very unfavorable position. It makes it so hard because once you put together music and myth, then you can leave it there. You don't have to deal with it any longer because music and myth go together, and I'm against that. And part of my rant is that I'm a musicologist, I'm classically trained musicologist. That musicologists themselves have made it so difficult for other people to talk about music and to think about music. I'm trying to correct those mistakes with my work as well, I think.
You're probably familiar with Triin Valaste's
Yes, I am.
interpretation.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a slight change here as soon sets up, but you could carry on and just ask one more question perhaps. Do you want to set up?
Yes, sure. Thank you very much. I think that the Ravel bolero has nothing to do with Latin American bolero. Bolero is pesa en emotion, the typical bolero. It's love. And also the intertextual connection of the this Estonian piece with the rhythm of the Ravel. But Ravel music, the central question is the Ravel bolero is some kind of the orgy of rhythm and instrumentation. But for me, the Estonian piece, the links is with the Ravel bolero, but the meaning of the rhythm is different, very different. It's some kind of determination of the Estonian people to be. I think that I don't know.
Well, there is so much to say about that distant bolero drums museum in there. I have quite a lot to say about that, and just had no time here. And I played this piece to my students, trying to find the paramusical field of their visual verbal associations that come up. Sorry, I can't go into it right now. But yeah, I'm going to do a presentation about that next time.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, welcome. Thank you.